Good evening. This is the regularly scheduled Finance Committee meeting on December 16th, 2024, and it is 5:28 p.m. The members on the committee that are present tonight are Councillor Beck, Councillor Dean, Councillor Fournier, Councillor Tremble, and myself, Councillor Fish. Other council members present tonight are Councillor Leonard, Councillor Mallard, and Councillor Hawes. Looks like the first thing on our agenda tonight is an executive session. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
I make a motion to go into executive session 36 MRSA section 8412 hardship abatement application.
Second.
We are in executive session.
So I'm just gonna need a roll call vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. There we go. I'll get the hang of this eventually. Okay, do we have a roll call vote, please?
Just for committee members.
Right.
Yes.
Councillor Beck?
Yes.
Councillor Dean?
Yes.
Councillor Fournier?
Yes.
Councillor Tremble?
Yes.
And myself is a yes.
Mute the camera and video. All right, we're back.
Okay, we are back and I'm looking for a motion for the budget abatement application.
I make a motion, to approve staff's recommendation for the hardship
I'll second that.
application.
And do we need a vote for that?
Yes.
Okay, Counselor Beck,
Yes.
Counselor Dean,
Yes.
Counselor Fournier,
Yes.
Counselor Trimble,
Yes.
and myself, Counselor Fish, is a yes.
Thank you. Moving on to bids, our first request is to waive the bid process for an electric pickup truck from Community Connector. Community Connector just received a Maine DOT grant, which allowed for the purchase of a electric pickup truck to use by the maintenance staff. And what we are suggesting is we just went out to bid for multiple vehicles last month. One of those was an electric vehicle. We received 3 bids back on that, with Darlings being the low bidder, where it was so close to the last time that we went out to bid. The fleet department reached out to Darlings. They will honor that same price if we buy a second vehicle. At this time, it was $12,000, almost $13,000 less than the second bid. So our recommendation is to waive the bid process and just purchase a second electric vehicle from Darlings Ford for $53,095.
Okay, and do we have a motion to waive the bid process?
So moved. Second.
Do we need a vote on this item? Counselor Beck,
Yes.
Counselor Dean,
Yes.
Counselor Fournier,
Yes.
Counselor Trimble,
Yes.
and myself, Counselor Fish, would be a yes.
Thank you. Our next item is also to waive the bid process. This is in regards, the council has previously approved staff to apply to an RFP from Efficiency Maine to install electric vehicle charges on city-owned property. And after some review, the Pickering Square Garage was settled as the best location. So due to the requirements of the chargers, the complexity of installing the chargers and having the expertise to do it, there's really only 2 companies in the area that have the expertise to do that. One is Revision, the other one is GridWealth. And the staff reached out to both of those directly, and GridWealth did not respond to our request, but Revision did. There's also federal Davis-Bacon requirements on that. And so they, where there's a limited pool of people going out to bid, didn't seem like the best option to do it. So we reached out to the 2 companies that we knew could do it. We only heard back from Revision. They replied a quote of $59,523 to do the project. If we are awarded the RFP by Efficiency Maine, we can receive up to $40,000 in reimbursement. So the net cost to us would only be $19,523. This is more of a preemptive option. Revision Maine knows that if we do not get the RFP selection from Efficiency Maine, the project will not go forward. That will be written into our agreement with them. So this is so that we have everything in place so that we don't have a long turnaround between when the RFP is awarded and when the project needs to be completed. We'll have everything in place that if we are awarded it, we're able to get this project started quickly and relatively for a net cost of $19,000, which would come out of our climate action plan funding that we have. So we're looking for approval to move forward again with the stipulation that if the project doesn't go forward with Efficiency Maine, this contract would be null and void.
Do we have any questions? Do we have a motion to waive the bid process for the electric vehicle chargers?
So moved.
Second.
Do we have a roll call now for vote? Counselor Beck,
Yes.
Counselor Dean,
Yes.
Counselor Fournier,
Yes.
Counselor Trimble?
Yes.
And myself, Counselor Fish, to be a yes. And on to the next one.
So our next item is for residential realtor services. Some community members may recall, we did go out to bid for realtor services earlier this year. It was a combined bid, looking to have one realtor do all of our realty needs. This was prompted by a change in the state law primarily for tax-acquired property. All tax-acquired property that the city wishes to dispose of now is required to be sold through a licensed realtor. The committee asked that we put the bid back out and split the bid between residential and commercial, looking for hopefully additional bidders, as well as companies that are more attuned to that specific space of either residential or commercial property. So this is the residential response. We did put it back out to bid. It was sent to the local realtor, I'm not exactly what it's sure, but some database of realtors. But we still only received 2 responses. They were from the Shea Renee team and from John Hyatt Broker and SI Associates. Pretty much the bids are fairly similar. It was a commission package, all inclusive. Shea Renee was 5% for over a 5-year period. John Hyatt was 4% for the first 2, 5% after that. John Hyatt did have a limit to the maximum number of properties, which Shea Renee did not. We don't anticipate that we're gonna have that many properties, but that option is there. Looking at, after staff reviewed, all of the experience, the capacity, the ability to have dedicated staff to city's needs as needed, the recommendation is to go with the Shea Renee team with a flat 5% all-inclusive commission for a 5-year project to handle all of our residential realtor needs. That would be not only tax acquired property, but any property that we may have or lots that we may have that are zoned as residential would go to the Shea Renee team to post and sell as a broker license.
Counselor
Just a
Turnbull?
question, you might probably know more about this than maybe the people. But I mean, 6 months ago, somebody came up with 5% inclusive commission, I would think, okay, I get that. They've changed their structure because of a federal lawsuit on commissions. How does that work? Does that mean that's the total commission? Does that mean that's what they get for selling it? And if there's a buyer, they might, how's that?
The 5% all-inclusive did include, it's gonna be split between the buyer and the seller, 3 and 2. Trying to remember how that's split, but that was in the proposal. 3% was gonna go to one side, 2% was gonna go to the other side.
If I might interject, I think the federal mandate says it's negotiable. So the listing agency seller can predetermine what they would like to consider setting aside for the buyer's agent agency. And then when you get the contract, you can look at the full terms of the contract and what the buyer's agent agency is requesting. They may in fact come back and request more, they may request less. But at that time, you get to look at it, and at least by these parameters, you know what to expect with the 5.
Right, so from my perspective, as long as we pay no more than 5, how they split it up, I guess it's gonna be between them.
Now you're looking for a motion from us to accept?
Yes.
This
I would move
recommendation.
staff recommendation.
I'll second.
Counselor Beck,
Yes.
Counselor Dean,
Yes.
Counselor Fournier,
Yes.
Counselor Trumbull,
Yes.
and Counselor Fish is a yes.
Thank you. I will say that we anticipate the commercial award will come at the next meeting on the 6th. And also know that while we're waiting for this process, we do have, I believe, 6 properties in the hopper waiting. So we will be taking advantage of these contracts very soon. And we'll have some properties out there for sale.
6 on the residential.
I'm not sure if I'm not sure if they're all residential. I believe they are because they're mostly all tax acquired property, and our majority of tax acquired property is residential. Some of them may be mixed zoning, so we may have to determine, staff will determine what we feel is the best use for that, but typically housing is where we lean to go first. So our next item is a council order. This is to authorize the city manager to execute a subcontract with Northern Light Mayo Hospital in the amount of $206,409, provide prevention services in Atticus County as part of the state of Maine's Maine Prevention Network. This is a contract that we have had before with them. There was a previous contract from January of 2023 that went till June of 24. This essentially is the second contract period, which would go from July of 24 to June of 25. The funding from the Maine Prevention Network has already been approved by the council to accept and appropriate. So the funding is there for fiscal year 25. But this allows the Northern Light Mayo Hospital to sort of handle that county and use for tobacco prevention services and healthy eating and active living. So this will be on council for next week, but is coming to you first to let you know that it's on its way and have any questions that you may have answered. And Jamie from our Health and Community Services department has sat at the table and may answer any questions that you guys may have that is beyond my scope.
Sure. So the question I just had was about how this connects back to Bangor. I know they talk about doing the service in Piscataquis County. Just trying to figure out how the benefit circles back to Bangor.
Sure. So this funding has been around, it's primarily this funding is called Fund for a Healthy Maine. And it is tobacco settlement funding. There, with the substance use prevention arm of this, there are kind of three arms. There's tobacco prevention, substance use prevention, and healthy eating, active living. Tobacco prevention and healthy eating, active living primarily are through the Fund for Healthy Maine, which is tobacco settlement funding that came to Maine in 2001-ish. In 2007, the state of Maine established public health districts. So there are 9 public health districts in the state of Maine. And the intent was to roll out all of Maine's public health efforts through those public health districts. So we at the city of Bangor have been receiving this funding to do prevention work since 2007. That's when I was the first health promotion manager, the only health promotion manager, actually. Since at that time, when we started in 2007, we had a 13-town service area. So the structure at that time in the state was that all of this same money came to 31 different groups working throughout the state in this loose public health district format, I guess. Over time, what's happened is that the funding has been more regionalized. So our service area, now we are responsible for these 2 counties, Penobscot and Piscataquis County. There is 1 award for this funding made in each public health district. So the organization who was awarded the funding is required to provide prevention services throughout the whole district. So our advantage in Bangor is that we work really closely. I mean, we're all located here. All of the workers are in Bangor. That's where the majority of the population of this county is. Although we definitely work throughout the county, because this is where the lion's share of people are, we do a lot of work here. So Bangor sees a great benefit of having this funding here, having the work being done here. We work really closely with the Bangor School Department. We've worked with Penquis and their child care centers, Job Corps, Beale University. In the past, we have, for example, trained all of the, when the Folk Festival was around, we trained all of their volunteers in alcohol cellar serving. We still provide a lot of alcohol cellar server training to all of the licensees in the city of Bangor. There's an ordinance requiring alcohol server sellers in Bangor to be trained, and so we provide that training. We work really closely within our public health department with WIC, with public health nurses, and then throughout other city departments, Parks and Rec, Community Economic Development. We've done work with the Community Connector. So this MOU or this subcontract that we're talking about tonight allows Northern Light Mayo Community Outreach Team to do similar work in Piscataquis County, where they sit and they have those same types of relationships that we have here.
Okay. And so it just sounds like this, so money basically just passing through us to them.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
that's
essentially,
exactly what happens.
The way the districts are designed, we're essentially a pass-through to make sure that
Okay,
it's easier for the state as opposed to giving money to 13 counties and, different towns.
yeah,
We're just big enough to be able to do that.
sure. Well, I appreciate you both explaining that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
my pleasure, thank you.
Any other questions? Council Leonard?
The only question I had, well, it's not even a question, it's just more so a statement. I think this is actually a really great opportunity for us to develop, more relations with Piscataquis County, in general. If there's more types of, foundational team building that we can do with them. I do want to explore those just because, they are part of what is Bangor's, general service, network. At the end of the day, a lot of people from, I won't go through and name all the towns, but basically, I would like to see, in addition to what we're doing with Penobscot County, to develop more of a relationship with the other counties. But I know we're not there yet. It's just more so food for thought. But I think we do need to start to include them onto some of our city-centric plans, because our city-centric plans are going to affect the greater Bangor immensely.
Any other questions or comments? So this will be on council on Monday, and do you need a vote from committee tonight?
Yes.
Okay.
Make a motion.
Make a motion, and do I have a second?
Second.
Now for roll call, Counselor Beck,
Yes.
Counselor Dean,
Yes.
Counselor Fornia,
Yes, a nice sweater. by the way.
Thank you. You got it, Mark?
Counselor Trumbull,
Yes.
and myself, Counselor Fish is a yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next item is a council order to ratify the city manager's actions to accept a grant from the Maine Bureau of Highway Safety in the amount of $8,687.12 for impaired driving enforcement. This is to help our police officers get trained in drug recognition. And the money can be used to reimburse for overtime associated with off-duty callouts, as well as travel expenses for the drug recognition training and field certifications. Typically grants that are less than $50,000 with no local match. As part of our budget resolve, they are automatically accepted and appropriated, but do require a formal council action to accept the funds. Due to timing when we needed to sign the subcontract grant agreement, doesn't always line up with our meeting schedules. So the city manager went ahead and signed the grant contract to accept the funds, but this resolve will ratify those actions, and it will be on your finance committee or your council agenda for next week.
Okay, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second?
Counselor Beck,
Yes.
Counselor Dean,
Yes.
Counselor Mallard? Oh, I'm sorry. Counselor Fornia,
Yes,
Counselor Trumbull,
Yes.
and myself, Counselor Fish is a yes.
Thank you. Our next item is basically the same process. It's also to ratify the city manager's actions to accept a grant award from the Maine Bureau of Highway Safety for impaired driving, and this is more specifically due to cover overtime enforcement and training officers to specifically focus on impaired driving itself as opposed to drug recognition. It was a different set of programs that required a different subaward. Again, due to timing, the city manager has signed the subgrant contract. This will ratify those actions, and it will be on your council agenda for next week.
make a motion.
Second?
Okay, thank you. Counselor Beck,
Yes.
Counselor Dean,
Yes.
Counselor Fornia,
Yes,
Counselor Trumbull,
Yes.
and myself, Counselor Fish is a yes.
Thank you. Our last item tonight is, want to give, the council an update on where we are with the audit. I know that that's always in, everybody's mind. We are continuing forward with that, trying to get as much done, as possible. Obviously, giving as priority as much as we can over day-to-day operations. And the, auditors are on site, this week for the next few days to try to finish up some testing that they had with community and economic development. That fund is essentially done, barring the testing, assuming the testing goes okay. We should be able to wrap up that funding and call it complete. If the testing finds additional questions, they may have to expand that. So that's sort of a waiting see on the testing period. The airport, we had some outstanding stuff for the airport, but that is now should be complete. That has all been sent to them. Part of that is there are GASB, which is Governmental Accounting Standards Boards, requirements that require us to do present value calculations on all of the airport leases. They have nearly 50 of them that extend out multiple years. So there's a lot of calculations and formulas there. That's all been completed and sent to them. The Cross Insurance Center, Bass Park, we're looking to wrap that up hopefully tomorrow. There are some outstanding stuff still with the school department. The auditors will be going to the school department on Wednesday. So once that is cleared up and we receive our outstanding questions from the school department, that will allow us to really focus down onto the general fund, which is typically the last fund to get done, although it is the largest fund because it incorporates nearly all of the city departments that aren't enterprise funds or grant money. So like I said, the auditors are on site this week to hopefully wrap up at least the on-site testing and compliance stuff they need to do. We still need to look at another GASB is our online subscription-based programs with Office 365 and our email services. Those are now cloud-based programs where we pay subscriptions. That's a new requirement that we have to look at. We didn't have any last year, so that's something that we'll have to do new and include in. As well as some new GASB requirements on how the disclosures are in the book. So it'll change how we have to modify the financial statements for the new presentation disclosures. But again, we're working toward those, barring any significant findings from the auditors or any unknown staffing issues at this point. We are on track to be able to issue the financial statements in January. That is our goal. That is the auditor's goal as well. It's a sort of a reliance on both sides, but we are working together. We work together very well. So that is where we are as of today.
Councilor Forney?
Great to hear that this is on track for January. Thank you very much for the update.
Very good news. Thank you. Any questions? Councilor Leonard?
Are there any anticipated challenges that could delay the audit completion?
Anticipated challenges? No, it really comes down to a staffing. We're still shorthanded in the finance department. I don't believe that the auditors are. The only real thing that comes into play is how our completion with other departments getting everything in and us giving them a final product may cut into other clients that they may have. Like as I reported earlier, there used to be 65 auditing firms that handled Maine municipality audits. Now there are only 19. So that's a lot more towns that the same staff has to use. So that we may run into a scheduling issue. I talked with the auditors about this today. They agreed with me that, based on where we are today, based on how we think things are going, without knowing anything that we don't know today, January still appears to be viable, and this should be when things get posted. But we'll keep you informed if anything comes up. That's where we are today.
Okay. Just a comment. I think in the future, when we're doing our budgeting processes and the audits in the future, if there are things that we can do to streamline the process, like for example, making sure that we can streamline management grants and leases, if there's a way that we can process that more feasibly and easily in order to get to much more difficult work that might not be as that might be more difficult than that. I would like to see that in the future, just because we don't want to see this.
Right, and we are already doing that.
Okay.
I've already spoken to the airport. They are looking into software that would do what we do manually right now for the leases, that they could be able to put that in and generate what we need. out of the software versus us doing it ourselves. And that may, depending on the software, if they find, they know that there's ones out there that they think will work, they're looking at that now. That may be ability to, even though there's less of them, it may carry over to community and economic development because they have leases as well, which we do the same thing on, not too much smaller scale. Ideally, within the next couple of years, we're going to need to go out to bid for a new financial package. With that, the financial packages that are, that are available today, compared to what we currently have, I suspect will have better reporting capabilities, and be able to be possibly put together a lot of what we do, off to the side as part of the system. So we're looking at that down the road. We're trying to get new software, new technology that will assist us as we can. And staffing is always an issue. Being fully staffed with a full trained staff will make this a much easier process, but unfortunately, we're just not there.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? I think
That's
it's,
all I got.
okay, I think it's a wrap and we are adjourned at 6:26. Thank
Thank
you.
you.